Let's begin with the latest COVID data. Well, the cases in the last 24 hours have risen very slightly. They're at 2,67,000, but they're still under 3 lakhs. However, the big worry is really in the deaths in the last 24 hours. That's 4,529. India and the world's highest ever deaths in a day. It's up by 4.4%. And remember, these are only official figures. They seem to be grossly underestimated. Tests done in the last 24 hours. Well, 20 lakhs, 8,000. This is the highest testing so far. Our tests are up nearly 7%. Our positivity rate is 13.31%. That's down very slightly. And vaccinations in the last 24 hours are 13 lakhs, 12,000. Vaccinations continue to drop down by 13%. Let's just analyze that data because India's daily COVID deaths have now broken a grim global record according to official data. But the concern is that this is actually yet to peak. The deaths will rise before they start plateauing and then going downwards. This graph reflects there is a lag between a surge in cases and a surge in deaths. Experts say the lag is about 14 days. Now, as you can see, average daily cases peaked on the 9th. But today, the average daily deaths have hit a new high, but the graph of deaths is still firmly upward bound. Another worrying point is that the pace at which average daily deaths have risen is far more for average cases. Since the 1st of April to the peak, cases were up by 531%. But deaths from the 1st of April to today are up by 1,200%. So we can see deaths percentage much higher than cases. Let's just look at which were the worst hit states, union territories in the last 2 weeks. So if we just look at those numbers, the change percentage. Now, Maharashtra, we've seen the cases, the deaths have actually gone up by 16%. That's over 12,000 deaths. Karnataka has also risen by 118%, though of course the absolute number is less, but look at the rise in the deaths. Delhi actually went down, they've declined by 15%. Uttar Pradesh went up by 17%, but again, there are many questions about deaths actually being recorded in various states. In Tamil Nadu, again, 167% rise in deaths in just the last 2 weeks. So those are numbers that governments need to be looking at very closely. Let's just move to our other top headline, and that's the tragedy where over 50 people are still missing from an ONGC rig off the Arabian Sea. This as the Navy carried out many rescues through the night, and you can see here these dramatic shots from INS Kochi trying to carry out a rescue to save as many people as they can. The survivors have said that they're lucky to be alive, but are asking questions why the ONGC didn't actually call back all the men on that rig as soon as the first warnings of a cyclone were actually given.
Survivors from the disaster out in the Arabian Ocean returning to Mumbai after being rescued. Many of these men had spent an entire night out in the ocean in cyclonic conditions with nothing more than a life jacket to save them. Navy warships deployed on the rescue detected life rafts from these barges. From the barge, these men used to call home. But all the rafts were empty. The men on board had been tossed into the sea. They had to fend for themselves. 22 of their colleagues are dead and 51 remain missing. The search continues. Sunil Jha, a resident of Kushinagar in UP, was afloat at sea for 14 hours. He says they knew a cyclone was coming. He has no idea why they weren't evacuated earlier.
सोमवार को पानी भरना चालू हुआ, उसके बाद वो जो बार्ज इंचार्ज था वो बोला कि अब बोट पलटी होने वाला है, दूसरा बोट को बुलाया गया, बोट आया नहीं दूसरा। उसके बाद थोड़ी देर बाद 10-12 बजे तक हम लोग पलटी होने लगा, बस एकदम खड़ा हो गया बोट। अब बोला कि पलटी होने वाला आप लोग कूद सकते हैं, तो हम लोग अपना लाइफ जैकेट निकाला, उसके बाद कूदना चालू किया।
Alam Sheikh says he has no idea about his brother who was on barge P305.
मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ कल से, जब न्यूज़ मिला मैंने इनको ऑनर से बात भी किया है, because already this vessel hit to the platform and got a hole. So I told them to pull out the vessel. But why these people not pull out the vessel when they got information the cyclone will come?
The Indian Navy, along with the Coast Guard and ONGC, was leading the search operations. Barge P305 and 2 others, Gal Constructor and Support Station 3, were deployed by engineering firm Afcon for its ONGC contract in Bombay High oil fields. But it has been dramatic efforts.
No doubt this has been one of the most challenging rescue operations so far. But the question is,
Even after enough warnings, why weren't these people recalled? Who exactly is accountable for those who lost their lives and those who are still missing? And that accountability needs to be fixed. In Mumbai with Sunil Singh and camera person Praveen Rohit and Sanjay Mandal, this is Purva Chitnas for NDTV.
The loss of precious lives there. Why weren't they called back in time? Meanwhile, the Prime Minister today carried out an aerial survey of devastation in his home state, Gujarat. The Prime Minister has announced 1,000 crores for Gujarat relief. He met the Chief Minister and other senior officials there to discuss the aftermath and what rehabilitation could be done after the cyclone. Well, the other big headline, new guidelines by the government says that vaccination for corona can be taken 3 months after an infected person has recovered and after they've taken their first dose. This is for people who've got infected after the first dose. The second dose of the COVID vaccine should be delayed by 3 months for anyone contracting the disease after the first dose. So far, there'd be no guideline given on a fixed gap for taking a vaccine in such situation. Also, vaccinations have been recommended for all lactating women. There's no news yet on vaccines being safe for pregnant women, but lactating women will be allowed to take the vaccine. However, what's really emerging as the big challenge is the rate of vaccination, as many states have shut down because they haven't got fresh stock, and also the CoWIN app. In fact, registrations of the app have fallen by 20% in just a week.
The minimum requirements for booking a vaccine slot could create a major hurdle for India's COVID vaccination program. Having access to a computer or tablet alone isn't enough. Registering requires a valid phone number to get an OTP message, without which slots cannot be booked. Also, stable internet, the ability to read English, and most importantly, time and patience to try and get one of the extremely limited slots. These hurdles combined with a shortage in doses have resulted in a sharp drop in registrations over the last 1 week. Registrations on average have fallen to 26.9 lakhs per day. This is a 20% drop over the previous week when there were 33.5 lakh registrations on average per day. The other issue is that of shortage. Today, the government announced that between the centre and vaccine suppliers, the supply should be over 10.7 crore doses in May and June. However, the demand is almost 18 crore. As per the government's CoWIN dashboard, over 22 crore people have registered, of which over 4 crore have been fully vaccinated. That is, got both doses. Rubina Mongia, NDTV.
And just look at the vaccination numbers dropping every day. And part of it also is also about people not being able to book it anywhere in rural areas. In fact, our reporter went to Uttar Pradesh, the Greater Noida area, and found that many people are actually driving here from Noida and urban areas, while villagers aren't getting a chance.
This is a vaccination site at a Greater Noida village. The people queuing up aren't villagers, but from upscale apartments in Noida and Ghaziabad who had never even heard of this village. Akash Saxena and Soumya travelled 20 kilometers to get here, the only place where they could get an appointment.
3-4 दिन मशक्कत करने के बाद इस संडे को स्लॉट्स खुले काफ़ी, तो जो हमें सबसे पहले जो मिला वो यहाँ का मिला, तो हमने उसको यहाँ करा दिया, हम लोग यहाँ पर आ गए।
इससे पहले कभी आप आए थे, इस गांव का नाम सुना था आपने?
नहीं, हमने तो पूछ के आए, हम लोग वो मैप लगा के आए हैं और पूछ के आए हैं।
मैं नोएडा सेक्टर 78 से आई हूँ एंड यही मेरे को वो मिला, लोकेशन जो मिली टेस्ट की, बहुत कम लोकेशंस अवेलेबल थी। गांव का नाम भी सुना था आपने? नहीं, पहले कभी नहीं सुना।
In Greater Noida villages like Bisrak and Khairpur Gurjar, 10 to 15 people test positive every day. But there is still some hesitancy, even for those like 42-year-old Rishi Chaudhary, who lost both his parents to COVID in the last 20 days.
ये बहुत चली हुई है कि जिस डायबिटीज वाले हैं या जिनके बीपी हाई होता है तो उनको परेशानी होती है, तो ये क्लियरिटी हो।
डॉक्टर्स की टीम आए, उनको अवेयर करे, गांव में जागरूक करे, उनको यदि उन पे नहीं होता मैनुअली रजिस्ट्रेशन करे और उनको टीका लगाए।
As per the rules, walk-in vaccination is not allowed for those in the 18 to 44 age group. A booking on CoWIN is the only way. Officials admit there are problems.
हमने रिकॉग्नाइज किया है कि गांव वाले थोड़ा पढ़े लिखे नहीं होते और वो ऑनलाइन पोर्टल पे रजिस्ट्रेशन कराने में उन्हें प्रॉब्लम आ रही है,
और इस चीज़ को हमने ऊपर तक भी बात की है और इस चीज़ को जल्दी रिसॉल्व कर लिया जाएगा.
The government has announced that from next week, Kovan will be available in Hindi and 14 other regional languages. But the government will have to do more than just resolving language barriers. It will have to ensure access to basic resources. From Greater Noida, with camera person Sushil Rathi, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
And today, Minister Nitin Gadkari said with the current vaccine shortage, why not give a license to many more companies to actually manufacture the vaccine? He said that when the shortage is over, these could be exported as well. But the Congress quickly tweeted praising him, saying that this is what ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had suggested. Nitin Gadkari quickly clarified his bite then.
जब किसी बात की डिमांड ज्यादा होती है और सप्लाई कम होता है तो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट होता है. तो ये वैक्सीन वाली कंपनी एक के बजाय 10 लोगों को लाइसेंस दे और रॉयल्टी भी ले कि आप हर राज्य में 2-2, 3-3 लेबोरेटरी ऑलरेडी है. मेरी जानकारी है कि उनकी क्षमता भी है और उनके पास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी है. फार्मूला देकर इनका उनके साथ कोऑर्डिनेशन करके अगर ये संख्या बढ़ाएंगे तो पहले उनको कहिए देश में दीजिए.
Meanwhile, in other news, in Maharashtra, doctors are now saying that women shouldn't actually get pregnant. They should postpone planned pregnancies till after vaccination. This, they're saying, is because they're seeing serious complications in pregnant women in the second wave.
In the second wave of the coronavirus, new variant B1617 is believed to be causing complications for pregnant women, especially at the time of childbirth.
कुछ फीमेल्स जो समय पे हॉस्पिटल नहीं पहुंच पाई या फिर जिनको ऑलरेडी कोमॉर्बिडिटी था जैसे डायबिटीज या उनको पहले से कुछ बीमारियां थी उनमें फर्टिलिटी रेट हाई रहा है.
Dr. Amol Pawar, obstetrician, gynecologist and COVID-19 nodal officer at a maternity hospital which has admitted 527 COVID pregnant ladies, explains the complications.
ये pregnant women में जो complications हुए वो पहले वेव के कंपैरिजन में हम ले तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा थे. थोड़े ही समय में काफ़ी सारे प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन उसमें कॉम्प्लिकेट हुए थे और इसमें ये कॉम्प्लिकेशंस जो हुए थे इसमें से सबसे ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेशन अबॉर्शंस के थे या अर्ली डिलीवरी. पहले वेव में डेथ्स बहुत रेयर थे और बच्चों में कॉम्प्लिकेशंस, न्यूबॉर्न बच्चों में कॉम्प्लिकेशंस भी कंपैरिजन में ज्यादा रहते हैं.
अगर आप हमारी सलाह मांग रहे हो तो एक चीज डेफिनेट है कि अगर आप अभी तक प्रेग्नेंट नहीं हुए हो ऑलरेडी तो फिर मैं एडवाइस करूंगी कि डेफिनेटली वैक्सीनेशन आप पहले करवा लीजिए और फिर प्रेगनेंसी प्लान करवा लीजिए.
In this new wave, there are more cases of newborns needing ICU or ventilators due to COVID, and experts feel pregnancy should be planned after getting vaccinated. With Pooja Bharadwaj in Mumbai, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Meanwhile, pregnancies can wait, but not, of course, politics. And now the Kerala High Court has said that the new government swearing-in ceremony tomorrow with 500 people can go ahead only if numbers are restricted. They said they've left it up to the government, but have asked that is it necessary for MLAs to bring families and that minister designates can perhaps bring family and the rest can actually watch it at home. The swearing-in tomorrow, however, made another controversy over the dropping of KK Shelja. The new health minister is another woman politician, Veena George.
Last-minute touches for Pinarayi Vijayan's second innings as Kerala's Chief Minister. At this stadium, where 1,000 can be seated with COVID protocols, only 500 invitees are being allowed according to the government. But many are questioning why this can't be held virtually, given the lockdown and the spiraling COVID deaths.
They are organizing a grand ceremony with the participation of hundreds of people at the swearing ceremony. It's a wrong decision. We cannot agree with that decision. So UDF has decided to participate in the swearing ceremony only virtually.
The swearing-in ceremony is not only going to be reflective of the historic win of the CPM-led left in Kerala, but also this new cabinet of many first-time ministers. Party insiders say is reflective of the growing influence of Pinarayi Vijayan within the party. The new Pinarayi Vijayan cabinet will have the highest number of women ministers at 3 in any Kerala government. Veena George, a former journalist and two-time MLA, will replace KK Shailaja as health minister, who is respected even by adversaries for her handling of the pandemic. Interestingly, at least 9 of the 21 cabinet ministers are first-time MLAs in the new left government, and except 4, all are first-time ministers, including DYFI National President and Pinarayi Vijayan's son-in-law, Mohammad Riaz.
See, our party has taken a decision when we got the mandate of the people that this time it should be a new team. It's unfair to link both exclusion of Comrade Shailaja and induction of Comrade Mohammad Riaz.
According to party sources, even within the state secretariat, there were objections which were raised on certain decisions like dropping KK Shailaja or making MB Rajesh a speaker. But eventually, it was a unanimous decision backed by everybody. With camera person SP Babu, Sneha Koshi for NDTV.